Hey guys, and welcome back to Rage Gaming, and very soon, Season 4 of Diablo 4. Personally, I'm the type of guy who wants, the main information condensed into relatively quick and understandable formats. So, for you Necromancer mains, I put together this video about Season 4 Necromancer leveling, specifically the best path I see for the fastest, strongest, and also easiest method. There are some brilliant creators out there who absolutely do go into the serious detail, the math explanations, but this video is hopefully going to get straight to the point. With that in mind, here's what you need to know. Majorly, there's a huge change to your leveling path in Season 4. You'll be able to equip sacred items at level 35 and ancestrals as early as 55, which is going to be a major boost to leveling speed overall. You will aim to push World Tier 3 at level 35 or sooner because of that, and then into World Tier 4, probably at 50 or even sooner, depending on your preferences. Previously, the best leveling method for a Necromancer was to start with a basic BSurge build, then convert it into a BSpear build, roughly as you push into World Tier 3 or even 4. Why? Because BSurge requires next to nothing to work very effectively, while BSpear was better as a build long term. With the massive changes to minions though, things have changed for us. Minion builds are looking to be the strongest for a Necromancer in Season 4, with high potential to be the strongest builds of the season overall. There are many valid ways to run this though, be it leaning into minions being the main damage source, shadow damage tied to minions, or other builds that work in minions in more casual ways. However, for leveling, I'm keeping this as simple and as strong as possible. Why are minions so much better? There are many reasons, but one of the main ones is that minions are now finally scaling from your stats at a full 100% rate, compared to just 30% of the past. They've definitely learned a lot with the construct in Season 3 in that regard. Minions are not perfect, they're still going to be irritating in their awkward lacking AI. You still can't directly control them, meaning they're going to spread damage randomly, but thanks to their new output being so good, it actually outweighs the still negative aspects of Diablo 4 AI. Having said that, still expect your Necromancer to move, say, painfully slow compared to everyone else. Importantly, the Season 4 journey is focused on minion builds this time. They obviously want us to play them, so we're going to get some fantastic aspects for these builds by doing the season journey, which results in the smoothest progression from leveling to a functional endgame build, which is even more reason to go this route. Interestingly, if I look at an amulet here, you can see an affix that gives me extra ranks to the Evulsion passive. Evulsion is a very effective bone-related passive, and getting extra levels means significantly more damage. With the new tempered affixes in the PTR, we've been able to get more levels of something like Golem Mastery to ridiculous levels where the increase is kind of busted. We don't know whether that's actually going to remain in the full launch of Season 4, but if that does come back, we have some serious potential to be the strongest. In any case, we're clearly going minion-based builds, but for leveling, what does that look like exactly? Just as before, you're going to start with a BSurge build being the core. BSurge still requires nothing to work extremely effectively, with easy ways to overcome the essence cost of the build. However, with things being changed, we'll be using a minion-based version of that, and then transitioning into full minions rather than BSpear pretty quickly. I would say that this will be done when you roughly enter World Tier 3 and begin running Sacreds, where you can actually start running some imprints happily. So World Tier 2 as BSurge, until World Tier 3 and beyond as full minions. I'm in the current patch, Season 3, just to show you an in-game skill tree of what your leveling path is going to be, all the way to 25 when you get your golem, where we're going to swap to minions. For your basic, it is obviously Hemorrhage. Hemorrhage is a great source of essence generally, and they have two options for the enhancements. We can get Fortify, which is really nice, or we can get attack speed. Both are going to be good for the BSurge bit, so you can't really go wrong with this, though I like the attack speed just to help me get even more essence gen when we're spamming BSurges at this point. Then of course we've got BSurge, which we take and enhance to paranormal as usual. This means on your 6th cast of BSurge, you get the guaranteed overpower where most of the damage is going to come from. On that note, we're going to put that to 5 out of 5 as soon as possible. Next, we want to help our essence gen desperately. So 1 point into Grim Harvest means whenever we're spawning, our priests or the skeletons in general, we get a little bit of essence. But more importantly, we're going to pick up Iron Maiden as usual when you're leveling. Iron Maiden actually becomes, when it's enhanced, something that costs no essence at all, and then it generates 5 essence per each enemy cursed. This means you spam your BSurges, then curse them with the Iron Maiden to get all your essence back to then, BSurge more. Now we need 3 points to actually get to the next tree, so we're going to put all 3 points into Fueled by Death, so that when we consume corpses, using our skeletons, we're getting a big damage increase. Next, we can pick up 1 level of Corpse Tendrils and go to Plagued for the vulnerable generation, which we'll use on cooldown. At this point, we have 4 points to spend before we can get to the ultimate tree, where we're pretty much going to convert anyway. At this point, you could go ahead and pick up Corpse Explosion, enhance it and go Blighted, make it shadow damage over time as another damage source, and another way to irk out a little bit more essence gen. One more point can put us into Grim Harvest to get 4 essence per use of that, and then we're down into the ultimate tree. With this point spent on Army of Dead, we are now pretty much at level 25, meaning we're going to get a Golem going. The following levels would, go Prime and Supreme, and then get Golem Mastery 3 out of 3 to really enhance the damage of Golem. But at this point, it's going to be time to convert to the full Minion build. On that note, before I talk about that, your Book of the Dead when you're still leveling your Blood Surge, I would recommend Skirmishers as always. An extra Skirmisher just means extra DPS. For Skeletal Mages, it's obviously cold. It means you're just generating essence passively, helping get more Blood Surges out. As you hit Golem, we're probably going to go Blood either way, just because of Upgrade 2 being so good. But again, by the time you get your Golem, it's time to convert and swap build. If you're wondering during this leveling process, the aspects aren't going to matter massively. Obviously, Bloodbathed is going to be the thing that you're looking for, meaning your Blood Surges are going to get a little bit more DPS out of them, but it's not vital and we're going to change build anyway, so yeah. But let's now talk about converting the build to full minions. So I've just refunded and I'm going to do the quick leveling path for you. Again, we're still going to go Hemorrhage, but at this point I think Initiates is definitely going to be better. It means your basic is also giving you the Fortify, which is going to be very nice. 3 points into Hued Flesh and nothing else. We're not using a core skill. That brings us nicely to the next tree. Here we're going to now level up Skeletal Warrior Mastery because we want our damage to actually come from our minions. To get the next 2 points though, we can take 1 level into Grim Harvest. Essence doesn't really matter, so we get 1 level into Fueled by Death, bringing us to the next tree. Essence is no longer important, so we're going to be using Decrepify, but more importantly, Skeletal Mage Mastery 3 out of 3. We're still 2 points away though, so I'm going to fill out Fueled by Death to max that out. Then of course we can pick up Corpse Tendrils to Plague for the vulnerable gen. 4 points away, this is perfect time to get Decrepify and fully enhance it so we can potentially cooldown reduction, obviously slow enemies, control in general. And now we can start taking points into Amplified Damage because this is a curse. It's going to increase our damage to those we curse. But that brings us to our ultimate tree, which we care about more right now. At this point, Army of the Dead fully upgraded and then max out Golem Mastery. That was the most important things. 3 out of 3 an Inspiring Leader gives us important attack speed for us and the minions. We can pop back up to 1 more point Amplified Damage, bring us to the actual key passive, Callan's Edict. This is pre-Season 4 patch, obviously, so what this is actually going to do is additive attack speed for your minions. It's an extra 3% per minion that's alive. This is pretty hefty and a much better key passive. So with the key passive actually achieved, we now have a bunch of points to fill out the board. I'm going to quickly pick up Amplified Damage to finish things off, and then we're going to take 3 out of 3 on Hellbent Commander. Just be wary, you need to be near your minions for them to get this big damage buff, generally standing near your golems when you can, or the skeletal mages, I guess. Then we're going to buff out with all the utility with the remaining 20 points. So from the top, we have 3 out of 3 spiked armor. This is giving us 15% times extra armor. This is actually going to be really nice for helping us reach the new lower armor cap. It's actually not necessary if you are reaching that, but it's nice while we're leveling. Death's Embrace is more important though, an extra bit of damage to close enemies, and also we take less damage. Movement speed from Death's Approach, that's very nice. We've got the Necrotic Carapace actually fortifying us properly now. And then with the remaining 8 points, we can pick up Death's Defense to give some extra survivability to the minions. And then we have 5 remaining points, where we're going to either put them into Decrepify or Corpse Tendrils. Because of our Paragon, the suggestion I'm going to do, I'm going to go 5 out of 5 into Corpse Tendrils. This is going to reduce the cooldown, so we're able to use it more often. CCing enemies means DPS increased from Paragon, and they're not dealing damage and held down for our minions to attack. With the remaining point, we can just dump it into something like Decrepify, meaning it gets a little bit more damage reduction and a lot more slow, which is nice. On that note, for your Book of the Dead, we have Skeletal Warriors still. An extra Skirmisher while we're leveling is very nice, and Corpses aren't going to matter too much with this specific build. For Mages, we're swapping to upgrade 2 on Cold. It means our Cold Mages are regularly causing vulnerability, meaning, we're getting more DPS, which is nice. Lastly, for the Golem, you're sticking with Blood, upgrade 2. While healthy, your Blood Golem gains 25% damage reduction and 50% times increased damage. It's pretty hefty. Alternatively though, you can consider Iron Golem for the stun to help with the Paragon, as I keep mentioning. For aspects, while you're leveling then, you can easily pick up Grasping Veins and slap that onto a ring or maybe your gloves, because your amulet slot is going to be the best non-constant replacing thing, where I would probably be putting on Unyielding Commander. While Army of Dead is active, you get a 200% increase to attack speed, and also they take way less damage. This is a major DPS increase. So I put that on my amulet rather than my 2-hand weapon, while I'm still changing weapons a lot because of eye level and leveling. However, I just want to highlight the fact that you probably want to use a 2-hand scythe over a 2-hand sword now, because 2-hand scythes have a higher average of raw damage per second than swords. And because we're getting that 100% stat transfer to our minions, that's actually better. It's something that people are really excited about because scythes have been very cool and something we've just not used for all this time. Outside of those two though, you can follow that up with reanimation where possible. Your minions gain increased damage while alive after 10 seconds and it's a major DPS increase. And also the hulking aspect's really good too. You have a chance to reduce the cooldown of the active golem ability, and also it'll spawn more corpses when that happens. Constantly slamming or draining the blood of nearby enemies will give us healing or other potential, as well as regularly generating unstoppable for us, which is going to be just really nice. The rest of the aspects are going to be utility based, you know, disobedience, might, movement speed on your boots, however you get that, and basic enhancers before we get into the true endgame build and really start cleaning things up in ancestral gear. I'll be back to follow up with a more ironed out build plan after the launch to show you directly. It's extremely likely I'm going to convert to a shadow based build while still being full minions when I've got the aspects to facilitate that. This is a guide to destroy as soon as possible without any RNG. Finally, on that note, here's just a quick look at a first Paragon board. This is my suggestion. The glyph should be control. We're going to be constantly slowing everything with Decrepify, stunning with corpse tendrils, and if you choose to go Iron Golem, you'll have another stun there. So it's a permanent 10% times increased damage for you and your minions, or 20% times for stunned or frozen. Pretty damn nice, and it's easily achievable without leveling up the glyph like so. This isn't level 15, and we've got it active. Last thing I should mention is the concern about tempering and how that comes into question as we progress. I think it's going to be wise to find skeletal mage damage increases. As you can see, this will increase the damage and life of your skeletal mages. With the shadow version, we're probably going to be the one that we transfer to in the later game. However, Golem Mastery is going to be massive, and if they do allow us to keep getting that on all kinds of gear, it was busted and it will be busted again. If they allow it. We don't know if they're going to let it continue after what we saw in the PTR. Outside of that, the new stuff like increasing the size of stuff is fantastic, like Decrepify size. Ultimate CDR is going to be really important though, because Army the Dead, we want to be spamming that. We want as much uptime on that as we can get. And then basic movement speed. Since we're a Necromancer, that's always going to be very nice. While leveling, you're going to be changing gears so much though, it's hard to seriously talk about this topic. I would recommend you temper your rings and your amulet where possible, because these items are going to be the ones that stick around for a while compared to the others. But there you have it. My new and updated guide for Necromancer leveling in Season 4, as straightforward and to the point as I could make it. BSurge minions into full minions with minimal aspects and tempering and RNG required. This should see you happily into World Tier 4, dominating, ready to begin the endgame process and transferring build to a true endgame one when we get there. I hope this has helped you. I'll be back for more follow-ups as soon as I can, but for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.